Coast. You know, Ghana is bordered to the east. Did I say to the east? To the west, actually, by La Côte d'Ivoire, and there are, you know, recent happenings over there. We shall be looking at that. The story says Côte d'Ivoire losing U.S. aid as Al-Qaeda groups approach. Al-Qaeda groups approach. Okay, so this story has been captured in today's edition of the Daily Graphic newspaper. Also, special prosecutor warns Ofori-Atta to appear before it on June 2. Or, well, the Inside newspaper front page has captured this one. Minority leader proposes new chamber and hospital for MPs. Majority opposes vehemently. And so, yes, when you go to the Legislative House, Minority Leader Alexander Afenyo-Markin, he is proposing a new chamber for parliamentarians and also a hospital for the political class. But this is something that the majority has opposed vehemently, and the reasons for this opposition is the fact that, look, we are currently in an economic quagmire, so to speak, and so it would be you know, a misplaced priority or a misplacement of priority if government decides that it's going to embark on this, you know, developmental agenda of, is it even a developmental agenda of, you know, creating or constructing a new chamber for parliamentarians, and then also constructing a new hospital. The argument is that, look, the current chamber is not so bad, and also the arguments about a hospital, you know, kind of or sort of seeks to alienate the political class from the masses, from the people, I mean from the very people whom they represent. What the hospitals that the masses attend should also be good for the lawmakers or the political class. And so the argument was that Rage Hospital is nearby. Parliament already has a clinic. Perhaps what they can do is to tool the clinic more, bring in more equipment to raise the standards. If whatever condition that an MP finds, him or herself is that bad, then they can resort to Rage Hospital or Kolebu, which is not too far away from Parliament House. So that particularly has been the argument of the majority. And then finally, government launches Blue Water Guard initiative, 2,000 youth to protect water bodies. This coming from the President, John Dramani Mahama. I nearly said former president. I've been so used to saying that. Right. But I do not know the figures. I don't know which of the figures or which of the numbers to go with, whether 2,000 as reported by the Ghanaian Times or 400 as reported by the Daily Graphic newspaper. I'll try my best possible to read both stories to know exactly what the number is, whether it is 2,000 as reported by Ghanaian Times or 400 as reported by the Daily Graphic. And so these are the issues we'll be discussing this morning on the show. Be a part of the conversation. The text line is very active. 0559919802, 0559919802. Send in your messages. Alternatively, you can do that on Facebook by joining our stream. Like, comment, and share so that others can also join in today's conversation. Right. Pretty shortly, I'm expecting Gabriel Atete of the National Democratic Congress, Central Regional Director of Communications of the party, and also Rodelin Ayana of the Alliance for Revolutionary Change and Movement for Change, which is headed by Alan John Kwejo Chuemanting. But we'll start the issues shortly, and then I think it was somewhere Friday or Saturday that I saw a video of the communications director, or the information minister actually, Honorable Fusukwache. He sought to dispel some, you know, untruths and allegations that are being peddled by the minority relative to government expenditure, and then the amount of money that has been, you know, attributed or allotted to government. And so, I mean, he made some comments relative to some assertions being made by the minority. I think Afenyomakin should be one of them. Honorable Amin Adam should be one of them as well. And then Gideon Boaku, who was advisor to the vice president in the Eswal administration, he also made some comments relative to government expenditure and then the budgetary allocation to the presidency, and how that is a grand departure from the lean government that, you know, this government has always posited that it was going to, you know, operate. But I mean, I'm sure there are videos to that. Do we have that video? If we have that video of Honorable Ofori-Atta trying to dispel some allegations or some untruths, he calls them gratuitous falsehood being peddled by the opposition or by the minority. If we have that particular video, I mean, we can proceed to play while Gabriela Tete joins us. Hello, Gabi. If you join me, I'll be glad. Gabi is joining us soon, and so let's go for a short breather. Let's find that video as well and play while, you know, Gabi joins us so that we can start the show.
The law is pertinent to every aspect of our lives, and so lawyers must not be the backup plan for the rainy day only.
Nothing received from a client should be put in a lawyer's personal account until such time that the money has actually been earned.
It is very dangerous to perpetuate the theory that it is narcotics that leads to crime increase.
The relevance of the law cuts across our business, social, and family transactions. Doubt this?
You can't borrow from somebody who's your client. That would lead to a conflict situation. And that's something that as a lawyer you must jealously guard when you are representing a client. You
have to register your Mohammedan marriage within 7 days?
Within a week of the celebration of the marriage.
So if you don't register it, it's not a valid marriage. Journey with our Law Express panel every week as we confirm the place of the law in our everyday transactions.
Under etiquette rules, a lawyer can terminate for non-payment of fees. So basically, if you don't pay your fees, a lawyer has a right to terminate your engagement.
It's also a little bit of a cliche. I mean, we're all used to the James Bond scene, as it were, with all the ambassadors sipping champagne and seeming to do nothing else but dine and sip champagne at receptions. That is not true. That is a misconception of the time and the nature of the work.
Diplomacy is not devoid of accountability.
Everything that matters in Africa matters to Europe as well. Be it demography, be it economy, be it security, be it culture.
Right, welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is the morning show, Good Morning Africa, live here on Pan-African Television. I introduced the topics earlier, but for the sake of emphasis, let me run you through them again. Our very first topic: Côte d'Ivoire losing U.S. aid as Al-Qaeda groups approach. Cote d'Ivoire losing US aid as Al-Qaeda groups approach. This is our African story. Special prosecutor wants Ofori-Atta to appear before it on June 2, or the Inside newspaper has captured this one. Minority leader proposes new chamber hospital for MPs. Majority opposes, and government launches Blue Water Guard initiative. 2,000 youth to protect water bodies. This is coming from the President John Dramani Mahama. Right, I've been joined this morning by Gabriela Tete of the National Democratic Congress. Gabi, good morning.
Good morning, yes.
I trust you're fine. You can't go on the usual path.
I hear you.
You can't go. Are you?
I'm fine.
You're fine. Good. Right. Also, Madam Rodlin Ayana of the Alliance for Revolutionary Change has also joined us. Good morning, Auntie Rhoda.
Good morning.
I hope you're fine.
I'm fine, thank you.
You are permitted to say that, but she's not. She can't say it again.
She can't.
She cannot. Right. Let's get into our topics for today's conversation. Cote d'Ivoire losing US aid as Al-Qaeda groups approach. With its tomato patches and grazing cattle, the Cote d'Ivoire village of Kimbirila hardly looks like a front line of the global fight against extremism. But after jihadists attacked a nearby community in Mali 5 years ago and set up a base in a forest straddling the border, the U.S. committed to spending $20 million to counter the spread of Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State groups here and in dozens of other villages. The Trump administration's sweeping foreign aid cuts means that support is now gone, even as violence in Mali and other countries in the Sahel region south of the Sahara has reached record levels and sent tens of thousands of refugees streaming into northern Cote d'Ivoire. Locals worry they have been abandoned. Diplomats and aid officials said the termination of aid had jeopardized counterterrorism efforts and weakened U.S. influence in a part of the world where some countries have turned to Russian mercenaries for help. In Kimbirila North, U.S. funding, among other things, helped young people get job training, built parks for cattle to graze so they are no longer stolen by jihadists on Malian territory, and helped establish an information sharing system so residents could flag violent encounters to each other and state services. What attracts young people to extremists is poverty and hunger. Yakuba Dumbia, the 78-year-old chief of Kimbirila North, said there was a very dangerous moment in 2020. The project came at the right time and allowed us to protect ourselves, but of course not anymore. That's because this French administration, I beg your pardon, this new Trump administration appears hell-bent on cutting aid to African countries. One of the countries that, I mean, some other countries have already suffered that already, the likes of South Africa, especially with the ongoing tussle between the South African government and the American government. It was only yesterday that it was reported that the South African ambassador to US has been asked to leave by March 21. Already they've cut aid to South Africa and then other countries. I think Ghana is also part. Those grants that we've been receiving to fight HIV/AIDS and all, we are no longer receiving them. But it appears that we rely heavily on these countries, and of course Cote d'Ivoire is one of the countries that relies heavily on the US, and this aid that is being cut to them would have startling repercussions. Gabi, I'm starting this conversation with you. Your thoughts?
All right. A good morning to you, a good morning to Auntie Rhoda, a good morning to our viewers across the country and across the continent, especially the good people of Central region. Bless, it's an interesting story. Actually, I didn't know about this till you sent the topics, and I had to read a bit about it. And my initial thoughts were simply a surprised wow, because I don't think when the US came out with the announcement that we're going to stop and shut down the USAID program in Africa, I don't think I had adverted my mind to issues of terrorism and what their contribution was doing to curtail terrorism. But when you know the activities of the USAID in agriculture, in health, in education and other social services, you appreciate the extent of the vacuum that withdrawal and that closure is going to cause, not just these countries, but the continent. Because mind you, they had programs running in almost every country across the continent, one thing or the other. And it's unfortunate that the USAID program itself was plagued with inefficiencies and corruption, and because of that, its effect and its contribution to the bigger world has not been curtailed. The USAID program for me was the softer side of US diplomacy, because when you hear US foreign policy, aside they going out to trade and invest, aside so much going on in war and their activities around conflict, for me the USAID program was that aspect that brought a bit of humanity of the US's side. So to have that thing shut down and the consequences thereof, not just on our health sector, our educational sector, but even agriculture. And as I said, even though I was aware of the contributions to various sectors and what even as a country in Ghana the government is doing to plug that vacuum, they did about 140-something million just to plug that hole. But to now drive it down into their contributions to peasant farmers, individuals, cooperatives, and in actual communities. You see, not just supporting governments with grants for programs, but the actual impact they were making in those lives. And as the chief rightly said, terrorism is driven largely by poverty and hunger. The ideology that there's a certain being that provides vengeance after death is not enough motivation for anybody to kill themselves. But sometimes, because of where they are coming from and the circumstances and how they see their environment and where they see that there's probably no hope of change, because this is how their communities and their societies have been for the last 50-60 years, since their fathers and their grandfathers. So they don't see any change happening in their lives. And so people from that kind of background who think that it is better to join these and then have at least some meager income and be part of a certain group and association is far better than staying in your village and tilling the land and rearing cattle. So, to be honest, I am blessed. It's a tough one. It's a tough one. It's when you read the story, it talks about the number of farmers and cooperatives who were benefiting from this program, whose livelihoods is not going to be affected. It means that after the next harvest season, if they have not been able to acquire extra seeds or have some plan for the next planting season, the Ivorian government will have to intervene quickly and think of a solution to keep those communities still up and running, and not have their citizens fall into the traps of what do they call them, insurgents and terrorists. But they say when you see your neighbor's beard on fire, that's when you fetch your bucket of water anyway. Just yesterday, His Excellency announced new heads for the military, the armed forces, the Navy, the Air Force, with a new Chief of Defense Staff and a new Chief of Staff. And I think that for us here in Ghana, that will reinvigorate the services. It will enforce the NDC administration's strategy on promoting internal security and having our defense forces on standby, ready and equipped should there be a need where we have any of these people or these groups attempting. Of course, there are also other security agencies that have been playing their part along the borders to keep our country safe. But I think it's a good lesson to see it happening somewhere else, and for us to also avert our minds that perhaps, even though we're having conversations about USAID support program in education and in health, we have to avert our minds back to the support that they were also giving into agriculture and the other sectors, if we have forgotten that, and see how we can also help these farmers to keep on with their lives, and then try to keep our borders safe and not have anybody infiltrate and brainwash our young people, or come up with all kinds of theories on what happens when you kill people and you end up with virgins. And that's some nonsense like that.
Well, right. Thank you. I think the president has already passed comments on this U.S. cutting aid to Africa and all of that, where he said that it's also an opportunity for Africa to take charge. I mean, if we should be able to prove that we are capable ourselves, we are capable of, providing our own needs and not necessarily, rely on the United States for that. And so this offers us an opportunity. I think he was on tour, when he was on tour of some African countries, he passed, that comment. So I want to believe that our government, this government, is prepared to at least make up for.
He mentioned that the USAID was supporting programs like the AIDS control program and others, and then the country needed, I think, $145 million or so to plug that hole. So I think that assurance is there. But the point I'm making is that from this story, where they take it from the agriculture angle, and mind you, agriculture is food. So even before they produce the food to bring to the market, they must first feed themselves in their own communities, so that there's sustainability in those communities. So that we don't take our eyes off the ball. Whilst we are chasing health and education, we forget that there are households and cooperatives who are also benefiting from the program that perhaps we may have lost track, or I don't use the word ignored, because I don't think even in they were ignored per se. I don't think that the Ivorian government would ignore anybody per se, but just the awareness that, in fact, something, aside all these programs that are being funded, the farmers in these neighboring communities are also at risk. So it's good to keep the focus on that as well.
Right. Auntie Gabby, sorry, Auntie Rhoda. You've not reached auntie level.
She has reached auntie level. I have a few grey hair, but it's still not auntie status.
It's not auntie status yet.
Mrs. Don't they call you auntie?
I shut my ears to the auntie and I listen to the second
part. Good morning to our viewers and to my dear Gabriella, and to you, Bless. Al-Qaeda, jihadist activities in Africa or in West Africa is something that we should all be worried about, especially when our country is bordered by places like Togo and Côte d'Ivoire, and now the Sahel states, from Burkina Faso to Niger, Mali, and Chad. It's rather unfortunate that as Africans, we've not been able to do the right things, and we've always depended on foreign aid to help us with the very, very limited things that you feel as an African we could have done for ourselves. With the issue of Al-Qaeda, I think that we all have to understand that they are fighting mostly for resources. It is not
that they're going out there. It's the Boko Haram that is looking for, or in what they call the balance, book education is not good. So if we have to differentiate between the Al-Qaeda group, which was basically formed by Osama bin Laden some time ago to kind of look out for resources for militants and Islamic countries to fight a war. So they tend to go into places where at least they think they can conquer and get something to support their cause. In Ghana, we are threatened by the jihadists, whether it's Boko Haram, whether it's Al-Qaeda, through our northern borders, especially in the Upper East region, Upper West regions where we border Burkina Faso. We've had situations where there have been incursions from these places entering our country. In fact, some of them do come into our markets and areas like the Boku area and all those places. So we are at risk ourselves, not just Burkina Faso. And with the U.S. withholding aid to Ivory Coast, that for me, I was asking myself, why are they so bothered about America withholding aid? What about France, where they keep the bulk of their money?
Yeah.
What about France, that is supposed to be their economic backer? So I think that Côte d'Ivoire has a very Herculean task to actually try and drive these people out from their country, because of where they are situated and because of the political stance of their president. Alassane Ouattara has become a person that a lot of Francophone countries feel like he is more of a Frenchman than an African. And somehow he was supposed to have gone, he came back, and one would ask if there's really real democracy even in La Côte d'Ivoire. So if you're looking at incursions, he must be very worried. But over the years, Alassane Ouattara has sort of realized that the youth are normally those that are used for these kinds of things, and therefore, and most of the time they come from the north. They're fleeing from North Africa, coming downwards, and it gets to the northern side of all our countries, including Ghana. So he has been able to kind of give out some support to those communities that live around the border towns. He's brought out infrastructure, trying to get employment for the youth. And this is for them to be able to get something doing and not be tempted to join the Al-Qaeda group. Unfortunately, with the advent of the Trump administration, which has now withheld aid, it's going to be a tough one, because you need to be able to get funding to fill in those gaps that the aid was doing. And I think that this is the time for Ivory Coast to look up, or La Côte d'Ivoire to look up to France. France must help La Côte d'Ivoire. After all, I mean, that is the right thing to do. You control their money, you control their resources, and therefore nobody else. I agree with Trump sometimes when he says that some people will have to do things unless it's in the interest of America. You know, you have to find the funding for yourselves. We're talking about AIDS, we're talking about poverty, we're talking about agriculture. These are things that our various governments should be able to do. I mean, looking at the African continent, looking at West Africa, we are well resourced, we have everything. And so if our leaders cannot use those natural resources that we have to be able to look after us, they have no business being in those leaderships. So this shouldn't actually come as a big problem for any African country. And I was happy to hear our president say that we have to find a way to look after ourselves. We have to be self-independent, you understand? And self-reliance comes at a cost. It means that all of us must give a little. So we should, as a people, also be ready, because when they finish off with La Côte d'Ivoire, they are also looming around our border towns, around Boko, around Wa, they're everywhere. So all I can say is that all Africans, or West Africa, has to be alert, and we should all also support our neighbors by also beefing up our security and supporting them with intelligence so that they can at least fight it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Let me also implore you to be a part of today's conversation once again. Let me know what your thoughts are. Send in your messages. I'll be more than pleased to read them in the course of the show. But let's move on to this story. Book, I think 2 days ago, and then a press release followed in the morning around 8 a.m. yesterday. The Office of the Special Prosecutor, they made a post relative to that suit filed by the former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta against the OSP for issuing an arrest warrant and declaring him a fugitive from justice. The OSP responded and also gave him a caveat that if he doesn't present himself to the Office of the Special Prosecutor on 2nd June 2025, I think he gave the time as well, I think it was 2:30 or so, he would again declare him a fugitive from justice and also alert Interpol and also commence an extradition process that wherever he is, whichever country that he has found himself in, you know, they'll take an action to deport him back to the country. Very interesting development. But yesterday on the show, I asked a very critical question, and I'll ask again. And once again, I'm starting with you, Gabi, on this topic, with the former finance minister suing the OSP for declaring him a fugitive from justice. And by the way, he's also, you know, sued some operatives of national security for invading his residence. But if you look at this suit against the OSP particularly, some people have posited that it's just a way to delay, you know, the process of bringing him to justice for all the, you know, all the financial decisions that he took as finance minister. Gabi, is that, I mean, may that be the case?
That was another interesting one. I was surprised that he'll even attempt to sue any operatives or anybody for that matter. I mean, the anger from so many quarters, Ghanaians generally, against Ken Ofori-Atta and the last NPP administration, one would expect that they would find some quiet place, just go and hide themselves there in solitude till the anger fades or subsides. Then they can come out and try and have these kinds of shenanigans without anybody really paying much attention to them. But that one for me was the tops of it. But I like the response of the OSP over the weekend. You can see that currently he's I don't use the word changing, but I like his new vibe. It's as if he now feels invigorated. I think the change in government has now given him a certain zest, a new zest to fight the corruption fight, because now there's going to be more cooperation from the government side to help him to succeed as an OSP. So I like the new fire that he's bringing and his responses. I mean, look, if you are, even if it's just suspicion, there's a need to investigate, there's a need to invite you for questioning, to have better details of certain things that transpired under you. And these are not just mere fabrications, these are, what's it called? Claims by people who have written to the special prosecutor that this and this and this and this and these reasons, I have basis to believe that Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta should be invited, investigated for so and so. And it's within the powers of the special prosecutor to also invite Ken Ofori-Atta and throw those questions to him that this and this and this is what has been brought against you, what do you have to say? The actual investigators go on the field to do the work, verify, and then if there's real evidence to suggest that so and so did not go well, and you cause financial loss to the state, or for some reason you have to be brought to justice, that is the process it has to go. If you are not well, and human nature as we all are, there are days when we all don't feel too well. But if you are not well, and you express to the officer, the special prosecutor, that I'm unable to attend to your invitation because of so and so, it's just a viable reason. And they've given you some leeway. They said, come in June. We're in March. April, May, June. That's 3 months away. I think that the special prosecutor has even been more than lenient with Ken Ofori-Atta. So this time around, that the announcement has been made that if he does not report in June, there's going to be an international warrant for his arrest. He's going to be declared as a wanted person again. In any case, tell me, what is so special about Ken Ofori-Atta that when he's wanted and he doesn't comply, his name goes on a list that you are wanted? Can't they put you on a list that you are wanted because they need you for investigations?
Of course.
Who is above the law in this country? Even the president, they give a time frame that as a former president, you have 3 years to bring evidence against a former president if you believe that he's been corrupt or for whatever reason. The Constitution even gives you that right. So nobody is above any constitutionally created agency or institution, and much more one that has been given the powers to help us to fight corruption. So I think that Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, he's not doing my service to his own self. He should, if I was him, within the next 1 month, I would come back to Ghana and meet the special prosecutor. Or if I'm as rich as Ken Ofori-Atta is, I will pay for their ticket for them to come to see me in the hospital. And whatever questions they want to ask, they come and ask me. Because, Fantis, we have an expression that says that izimpa hiya chen ahunya. Right? So if you know that you've not done anything wrong, allow them to come. If you think you can't come to Ghana, invite them to come over to the hospital in the US. Mayo Clinic is a very expensive hospital. And then share with them whatever it is that you know about what is going on. That, I think, will even allay the pressure on the OSP regarding how he treats you, Ken Ofori-Atta. But this I don't know how to describe it for. This thing he's doing, he's rather annoying Ghanaians the more. When they write any article about Ken Ofori-Atta, you just go and read the comment section, and you know what really people think about that man. So me, Mama, as I said, if it was me and I can afford the ticket, I'd rather invite OSP to the hospital. Come, let's sit down and chat. I can't come for health reasons, but I can be here, send somebody over. Let's have a conversation about what the charges are, and let's move forward. Else, June 12, we're all waiting. And what he's trying to create, they're either going to build this whole drama around the whole thing, and then 12 June, everybody's like, it's like that. It's like that national service girl. She's arrived at the airport, and that is breaking news. She's been sent to BNI. That is breaking news. You built a whole hype around Sekano, Wafa. Yes or no? Winning Hubi? Yes or no? Wendy? Yes or no? I don't have patience for a lot of things. So one of them is Ken Ofori-Atta and what they are doing.
With how the OSP handled the Cecilia Adapa case, all the fuss about how it started and everything, and then at the end of the day, it all amounted to naught. Do you have any confidence that this case is going to be handled any better?
That was the OSP and the Akufo-Addo. When I started my submission, I said I like the OSP's new vibe. It seems to me that he's much more comfortable doing his job under this administration. The energy and aura about him. There's this new sense of bravado in him compared to what it was like in the old administration. I mean, the old administration, the guy ended up becoming a folk rock singer, for crying out loud. No, remember, you come to waste taxpayers' money sitting there, but somehow he managed to weather the storm. But now the vibe has changed, and I think that it lends credence to His Excellency John Mahama's approach to the fight against corruption, and also the discipline and principles of the new Attorney General. Because he is not the type of person who, irrespective of who you are, will allow anybody to just twist the law one way or the other. You know, one thing that Honorable Dominic did that really won me over to him. This issue about these small boys who went to drive a vehicle into those young girls who were burnt to death, and the way the whole court system handled the case, right? First for me was the agony those girls went through. Second was the pain they caused the families. Third was the way the other family handled the whole thing. And the fourth disappointment for me was the judgment on it. But for some reason, just the day that the judgment was given, by the time they stepped outside, new charges, we start the process again. That for me was it. It tells me that somebody knows that there's something wrong with this, you know. And for me, it's always the principles. Somebody knows that there's something wrong with this, and then we have to reinvestigate that. We have new evidence to suggest that this isn't how the whole thing went. We're starting the whole trial again. And that one particular incident, it was not about where Yamini painting, oh yeah, Yamini padie, yeah, no basa basa, you end up in the wrath of God or something. No, young people have suffered, young lives destroyed, families bereaved. Surely there has to be some justice somewhere. There has to be justice somewhere. So I like the new vibe of the Attorney General, the new vibe of the OSP, and I'm hoping that we'll make headway in the fight against corruption. If we show Ghanaians that we have a handle on corruption, my dear, believe me, Ghanaians will keep NDC in power till their kingdom come. NPP will dissipate into thin air.
Right, I'll do a few messages, then I come to Auntie Rhoda. Abdul Rashid Jibril Sawadogo says, bless, good morning, great job, thank you very much. Musa Abatra says, President Mahama has demonstrated a strong commitment to fighting the Galamsey menace by appointing a competent and incorruptible Emmanuel Amakufi-Boa as the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources. Under his leadership, we are already seeing results in the battle against illegal mining. While it's true that President Akufo-Addo has failed, this shouldn't be seen as a reflection of President Mahama's ability to succeed. The difference lies not in the approach but in its sustainability and consistent execution. Mano James says, Apenyomakin wants a special hospital for parliamentarians alone. They should rather employ doctors and nurses and give them a space in the chamber to attend to them rather than building a hospital for them. They now want to separate themselves from the people who voted them to parliament. He has forgotten that they borrowed money from the whole world, that Ghana today is suffering. Okay, Patrick Nketia says, good morning. Good morning, Patrick. Many thanks for tuning in. David Glina Tokoli says, good morning. Why June? Why not April? Open your eyes, Ghanaians. Of course, I've also been asking myself the same question. Why did it have to? Why? Okay, well, maybe they've had some communication. And I think, of course, they did. The special prosecutor said they spoke, and then, you know, Yes, they agreed that he was going to present himself. So I'm sure maybe the time frame was part of that conversation, where that, okay, let me give you a 3-month period for you to, you know, avail yourself to the office of the special prosecutor. But let me hear from you, Auntie Rhoda.
I thought it was supposed to be May. I didn't know it was June 2nd.
Yeah.
But probably he's coming to the country in May, but appearing before the OSP in June. Ken Ofori-Atta is just playing games. He's just buying time. And I think it's not just him. Almost everybody who has been asked to report to the OSP is playing games. It's unfortunate that we have to run the whole case this way, with him out of our jurisdiction and we having to deal with his lawyers instead of him. It kind of like gives a soft hold to this whole thing, because it's different when the person is around. You call the person physically, you're able to banter with the person, you're able to exchange views. But when it comes to legal matters which are put down on paper, it becomes rather a very dicey issue. But Ken Ofori-Atta really surprises me, because he is trying to impugn that this whole issue of declaring him as a fugitive or whatever has dented his image. And I'm asking, so if he says that it has done significant damage to his reputation, I'd want to ask him what he thinks his time as finance minister has done to the reputation of Ghana. Under him as finance minister, young people were queuing up at all embassies to leave this country. Young people were going through the desert just to go out there and seek for greener pastures. And all because of his mismanagement of our economy. And he doesn't think that he has dented our image as Ghanaians, or he has dented the image of Ghana to the extent that we are now so death-ridden that we couldn't even celebrate our independence in style. For me, that is something that he should be thinking about. That you brought a whole country to its knees. You brought a country to a level where it could not even feed its children in schools. You brought a country to its knees where even dialysis in our hospitals for our kidney patients, they could not even have it. You brought a country to its knees where water spillage made our mothers and fathers and children to sleep outside in the cold. And you think that declaring you as a fugitive does so much damage to your person. I'm not surprised, because that is seen to be the pedigree of the MPP. Because when you listen to people like Reverend Edujemfi of 2 passports and 2 identities, saying that no one can arrest him, and you listen to all the other people feeling that this is just a one-day wonder. Oh, what is fighting corruption? Calling us OSP. They can't do anything. Yes, those days are gone. I believe that the resounding victory that was given to His Excellency John Mahama, because of the fact that he said he was going to fight corruption, was not just done in a vacuum. Ghanaians are expecting him to do that. And for us to be able to get everything that has been looted from this country, all of us as Ghanaians will have to also do what? Be in the game. We have to support the OSP. We have to support the Attorney General. We have to support our court systems, all our judicial systems, whatever. We have to give them that support for us to be able to collect back everything that was taken from this country or from us as a people. And in my submission, I always will say that before we can be able to do any of these things, that is getting our resources back, getting whatever back, the judiciary must be ready to play ball. Because if the judiciary, as we know it's 7050, decides that it's going to go along the same line, I'm sorry, we're not going to get anywhere. So I am praying that our judiciary, from the Chief Justice down to all the judges, will see that a new wind of change is blowing in this country, and Ghanaians expect them to do the right thing. So long as everything has evidence and is legal, we expect to get the right results. Because if you are talking about the OSP behaving almost like a lame duck during the previous administration, it was because of presidential and all sorts of interferences. So he was not just himself. Martin Amidu left because of those interferences.
Yeah.
And this new government seemed to have given him a leeway and the freedom to do what he's supposed to do. And as Ghanaians, we are going to be expecting him to do exactly that. And we expect to get some feedback that is positive. So, Mr. Ofori-Atta can be rest assured that Ghanaians will be expecting him to be in Ghana and to meet with the OSP come June 2nd. If he has done nothing, he's got nothing to be afraid of.
Mm-hmm.
But if he thinks that he has some questions to answer, there are so many other ways that this thing can be dealt with. You can reach out to the OSP. Confidentiality. There's always plea bargaining. There are all sorts of things that can be done. But whatever it takes, if he has our money, we will take it back.
Right. I think.
That thing you used to say that in the 80s they put somebody in a cage or they carry out something and brought the person.
That was in the 80s.
If he persons like this, I'm sure somebody will even suggest that they should go and bundle him and bring him back.
Yeah, Omar Diko. Yes,
I also think that he doesn't realize that sort of anger that
there are issues.
Yes.
The reason why he doesn't realize is because they think that it's foolproof. Whatever they've done is foolproof. We've taken our money out. It's in offshore accounts. We've shredded documents. We've done that, and that's a lie.
There are people in the NPP who
are
willing to expose them
exactly.
In security agencies.
And you see, I'll tell you the truth. I am afraid. And I asked someone. I said, "What happens if he passes on? We will lose everything." Because this is a sick man.
Don't give people ideas.
No, I'm not giving the idea, but I'm asking because you see, he may be playing on us. He may be playing on us.
Those people, they can do anything. Don't give them any ideas to come
and fix them. Maybe doctors have given him 4 months, and then he's playing on us. But by the time he comes as cargo, then we'll be in trouble. But we pray that he lives.
Well, right. I want to try my best and then read some messages that our viewers have shared with us on WhatsApp particularly, and those of you who have sent your messages via text. And so please continue to do so. I'll be more than glad to read your messages. I think I have the tablet now. Let me see the messages that you have shared with me. I'm going to go straight to WhatsApp. Quite a number of them already. Alhaji Hamza from Pig Farm says, "Good morning, my brother. My worry this morning is all about the trained water gas. My brother, in my humble opinion, this is a waste of resources. Are we today saying that our military cannot stand up to this criminal galamseyers? At least we know where to locate our forest reserves and water bodies. So why can't we move our military in to face out these criminals once and for all? We should not forget the fact that the military has a responsibility to protect us. How can this water gas face off with these galamseyers who are armed with better weapons? A state of emergency should be declared in those areas to declare the galamseyers. Okay, we can't afford to fail in this fight against galamsey. Okay, this is your concern, Hamza, Alhaji Hamza from Pig Farm. Good morning, Bless and your able panelists. I backed the OSP responding to Ken Ofori-Atta after his lawsuit, saying he would be declared wanted again if he refuses to appear on the set date. I'm beginning to feel that Ken Ofori-Atta is trying to evade justice. We Ghanaians are all by him, but he should also not just be responding and talking into the air. We want action. Suglo K. Ibrahim, Nadoli Khalil, thank you, Suglo, for your message. Good morning, Bless. The OSP is very lenient with Ofori-Atta, the former finance minister. The OSP must bring this man home to face accountability. He's not above the law to sit wherever he is, enjoying our money, and above all, threatening the OSP with lawsuits. The June timeline given him to return is too long. Mr. OSP, we want this fugitive to return immediately. Sami in Adenta. Thank you, Sami, for your message. Good morning to you and your cherished viewers. If you don't want people to ask who this is, then stop patrolling in the dark. Ken should be bold to assist in this corruption and corruption-related issues. My greetings to Honorable Ms. Bao, MP for Mion, Osman from Zakbal C. Okay, thank you, Osman. Good morning, bless. OSP is not there to fight corruption, but to cover up the sins of Akufo-Addo and his Achem mafia. Government must close down the OSP immediately to all the financial hemorrhage. OSP is not fit for purpose to fight corruption, but do the dirty work for Akufo-Addo. OSP is only good for issuing press conferences to remain relevant on social media. We have enough of the legal gymnastics and the theatricals to throw dust into our eyes. Okay, Ken Williams sent this one. Thank you, Ken. Samit Boache from Asamankesi says, as a nation, we are overwhelmed by the despondency and political duplicity. Is it not captivating and disturbing? Even those with firearms were unable to resist the Galamseyers. How can branch executives and the team designated as water guard be appointed to fight Galamseyers? These individuals with sharp teeth are defending the indefensible, and the question remains, will this NDC be prepared to eradicate Galamsey from the system? Ghanaians must be informed. Regards to Protozwa. Sami Boache from Asamankesi sent this one. Thank you, Sami. Let's do some more. This one here says that President Mahama has demonstrated a strong commitment to fighting the Galamsey menace by appointing a competent and incorruptible Emmanuel Makufi. Well, I think I've already done this message. Okay. This one here says, good morning to you, watching the show, enjoying the conversation. Okay, you didn't add your name, but thank you so much for your message. Okay, this one here also says that okay, right, the message is not so clear. Let's proceed to our next topic for conversation, and it has got to do with Parliament. The Minority Leader Afenyo Makin is proposing a new chamber for parliamentarians and also a hospital, a private hospital for the political class. However, he has received stiff opposition from the majority. Yesterday, Honorable Ayariga stated the reasons for which, that decision would not be supported by this administration. According to him, we have found ourselves in a very precarious situation as far as the economy is concerned. And look, he also spoke about the case for a hospital, that Rich Hospital is nearby, Kolibu is not too far away. Parliament already has a clinic. If all these do not suffice, how then would you want to have a private hospital for the political class? But a lot of people are not happy about this. A lot of people are angered. Why would you want a private hospital? Is Rich not good enough for you? Do you not already have a clinic? Auntie Rhoda, let me hear from you, please.
I think Afenyo Marcus just likes to hear his own voice. Sometimes because I sometimes ask myself, if you don't have anything to say, just don't say anything. Asking for a hospital, come on. I mean, where did that come from? We should build a special hospital for 275 people and a few other administrative staff. Is that it? At the end of it, service to us. We don't even have enough hospitals for ourselves as Ghanaians. And just Parliament, we should build you a hospital. Please. Sometimes our policy makers, and then let's say, let me not even add the policy makers. Let's talk about legislature. And let's talk about MPs. And let's all understand the fact that the MP is out there to serve us. We put them there. We pay them. They are not doing it for free. You understand? We pay them to go there, make laws that will better our lives. And it seems all that they always think about is themselves, how to better themselves. The kinds of facilities that they enjoy, how many Ghanaians enjoy those facilities? So, to say that if we gave them a good hospital, then they will not be found wanting to go out and seek for medical care in the mayos and whatnot. Before they became parliamentarians, how many of them could go to those places? And what makes them think that parliamentarians are more special than us ordinary Ghanaians? Why can't they go to Kolebu, UGMC, Rich, 37, all those hospitals? Not good enough for Afenyo Markins and his lots. You see, the NPP has always been an elitist party, and they will continue to be elitist. And it's always wanting a way to build a class system. Because this is a class system. Why should we have a hospital for some particular group of people, and then the rest of us can go to hell? Has he taken a good look at that national asset, Kolebu, and how it has been run down over the years? How many times? Kolebu is the last stop. When you go everywhere else and it's not okay, you have to go to the last stop, Kolebu. And if that place can't help you, so help you God. It's your straight to the grave. And we have let that place down. Almost, if you visit Kolebu, it's a shadow of itself. They have not sat down to think about ways and means of doing what? Of making sure that that edifice called Kolebu is working. The doctors that are trained in this country and the doctors that we have in all health institutions in this country are equally as good as those that you find in America, in Europe, and everywhere else. It's just for the lack of equipment, lack of motivation, lack of just that human face for the health sector. So these are legislators who think that we should be able to get up at 4:30 a.m. and they should get up late, have breakfast, and sit in their cars and come out with a motorcade, and the rest of us should join the queue, the traffic. And they think that they are serving us. That is not service. They are lording over us. And I'm so happy that the majority leader put him in his place. If you want to have any such service, look for it yourself. If you can afford to go to Mayo like our finance minister is doing now, ex-finance minister, do it. But for us in this country, we will expect them to make laws and to give advice that would better the health facilities in this country. Yes, it was appalling, it was disgraceful, it was embarrassing that a whole senior officer dropped in Parliament right behind our president. And the handling of that particular case was just terrible. Does that warrant a hospital? Do you know how many people, how many accidents happen on our roads and people just pull them off? They just pull them out and just drop them anywhere for lack of basic equipment. I think one of the MPs who's a doctor of the NDC, one NDC lady was talking about lack of oxygen, lack of oxygen, lack of that, lack of that. It just goes to tell you that when they go and some of them, when they sit in that parliament, they're just sitting there for themselves. And if you're in the minority, if you did not see anything at all, this is the time for you to open your eyes. Open your eyes and see the wrongs that you could have made right that you did not. In most jurisdictions, the military hospital is supposed to be one specialized hospital where the executive can safely go because of security, because of discipline. What did MPP do? During the time of Adokufo, they opened it out, let everybody go. Today, the military hospital is a shadow of itself. And I'm so happy that President John Mahama says he's going to build another military hospital. Because what is there is no longer a military hospital. Even the military themselves do not get any proper service because you just go there and it's almost like a market. It's like a civilian hospital. That was not the military hospital that we knew. And if you go across the world, military hospitals are specialized units where people like them, the parliamentarians, would have been under that to get specialized care, if that is what they want. But all I can ask for is that Afenyo Markins, you're not getting any new chamber. 275, we are not going up. If anything, we'll be going down. 275 or 276 is already too much for a country of almost 30 million. We don't need it, but we are managing it. So you shouldn't push us, because we will soon push that. You bring it down to 150. Let's talk about water for your own constituents. You have not even spoken about your own constituents. Efutu, do they have water? Do they have good roads? You haven't thought about that. You are thinking about yourself.
How have they been able to even manage the cholera outbreak over there?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean.
You have not thought, how many hospitals have you built? How many kinds of equipment have you donated to your health facilities that are there? And you come and sit in Parliament and think that you are a special person, so you need a special hospital. Sorry, that's not going to happen. Because Kolebu is sitting there looking at us, and it is just too bad. We need to do something about Kolebu. Like Honorable Alan Chiramatin will say, it's time for us to get public participation, if it's possible, like private participation. We can get private sector to come in there. Private investors can come in there and help us to rebuild Kolebu and to at least refit Kolebu. Because that is the last stop. Meanwhile, Kolebu is dying. It's very bad. You go to Kolebu, no beds. You go to Kolebu, no medicines. You go to Kolebu, the doctors. Look, I had an opportunity to be attended to by a doctor who was hungry, and her hands were shaking, and was going to administer very, very toxic medications. How do you do that? Young people spend their time. We had an occasion where the director of medical GMA came and said that, look, some of the doctors even are now getting drunk. They come late. I mean, why? No motivation, frustration, the stress of having to attend to a patient who cannot even access drugs. You understand? So I don't see why, as a parliamentarian, you go there and you are not thinking about the generality of the population, and you are thinking about your 275 constituency colleagues in yourself. I'm so happy that Honorable Ayarga told him off. And I think that going forward, Honorable Afenyoman Akins must begin to behave like a patriotic Ghanaian. He's not just fighting in the parliament there to be fighting or bringing out anything at all that comes into his head. He must begin to behave like somebody that we are paying to make legislations that will benefit us as Ghanaians.
Thank you. Gabi, you are from, he's from your region, or you are from, yes.
He's from my region, and we are in need of roads, not supporting MPs to have their own specialized hospital. How many of them? 250. If you be wasting the doctors and nurses' time, how many of you will fall sick in a day? Unless every day we have to come and give you food poison or something to keep the place active. 270 outpatients. They should maintain their clinic.
Yeah,
that is good for them.
Yeah, I've in
fact, they could even do the health center. This is a small child's compound at Parliament. That is a small community. They don't need any big hospital for confidentiality and what. Massa, when you went campaigning, did you not go into hospitals and promise the patients on those weak beds that they should vote for you, because when you come, you solve those problems for them? Do you have to wait till campaigning before you go and experience what they're experiencing? You have to experience it whilst you are still vying for the position. So, if you know that you want to be MP or you're MP, the best hospital to attend to is the one in your constituency, so that you can come and pressurize government that my community clinic doesn't have stretcher beds, we don't have this, we don't have that. And the people will see that, yeah, you're actually advocating for them. But when you want to have, as Auntie Rhoda said, a new system created specially for you, what is your reason? Confidentiality. So because of that, people are flying to Dubai and the US. They don't want their medical records to be known. Let your medical records be known.
We don't deserve confidentiality.
We'll pray for healing for you. Charlie, some of these suggestions, I think that our leadership in the political class leadership have to save us from some of these things, because it doesn't speak well of the political class generally. It creates the impression that the political class are inward looking, not sensitive to the general Ghanaian. I'm very happy that Honorable Ayaga dismissed it completely when it was proposed, because it sent out the wrong message flat out.
How would you even conceive such a thought? And then,
if it's about confidentiality and you thinking that the services that the public hospitals are providing is not good. Today we have Eurocare Center, we have German something ozone clinic, we have Swiss something medical center, we have a bank hospital, we have so many top class health facilities, even in Accra here. Forget the rest of Ghana. In Accra here, and most of you, in fact almost all of you, in fact all of you are all sitting in Accra, so you don't have problem with health facilities. You're choosing to go to the US or London or Dubai. It's a matter of choice. The facilities exist here. What you should rather help us do, since you are the mouthpiece of your constituencies and your people, when you know that your constituency's polyclinic is dilapidated because for 8 years the NPP administration did not re-equip it, that is the opportunity for you to go to Parliament and talk about it, and go and influence your colleagues who have now become deputy ministers and ministers to push for resources and the upgrading of medical facilities, and then your communities start to make progress. But don't come and tell us that you need a specialist hospitals just for yourselves. It is totally unwarranted, totally needless. I don't use rough words this morning. It's senseless. In fact, if Uncle Kwesi Pratt was here this morning, that's the words he would use. He said, my goodness, this is senseless.
Yeah.
It is senseless. He shouldn't even have thought about it.
I mean,
come to Efutu constituency. We have the Accident and Trauma Center.
Yeah.
It needs upgrade. That is the Trauma and Accident Center is a health facility that if there's any injury from Kaswa all the way to Mankesim, that's where they are going to rush everybody to. I heard yesterday that up to now, there are what they call these people, nursing trainees who completed 5 years ago and are still sitting at home for lack of postings. I heard when Honorable Atu Forsen was engaging the youth on Twitter, when some pharmacists recruited into the system were saying that for the last almost 12 months that they were recruited into the government service, they are not even received 1 month's salary. Over 300 of them. Which administration was responsible? The NPP. They didn't see the need to find full funding to complete Agenda 111 so that there are more health facilities spread across the country. These young nursing trainees could get jobs to do. People like these pharmacists whose efforts has not been rewarded with employment in the public service could earn their daily wages just as the former appointees and the rest were also earning their daily wages. These ones were forgotten in the scheme of things. But the priority, MPs should be given their own hospital. Tell them their numbers is not enough to warrant a hospital. The best they can get is a health center. They're even lucky that they have a clinic. They should make do with the clinic, upgrade it nicely, fit it nicely, get medical supplies nicely. You can even contribute yourselves and fill the medical stores of your clinic. So whatever your ailment is, it is catered for in that facility. And you have medical doctors amongst you. As we mentioned, Dr. Ayensu is there, and other specialists. Everybody can bring their specialty titles, who also comes on this platform. Yeah. Everybody can contribute their specialization and help you to become a better facility. But don't let Ghanaians take you to the cleaners because you are even at. I mean, the thought of it cries.
mean?
I don't want to use nonsense. I don't want to use the word nonsense, but
Don't use it. It's too early in the
you
morning.
know, this morning, because I didn't come in a good mood, so the list, I'm triggered.
Yeah.
It is.
We have excellent doctors.
In the words of how I say, this is not. It is not.
We have very good doctors in this country. Yeah. All we need is for them to be supported, motivated, and the equipment. And I keep asking myself, the amount of money we spend on useless things. Yeah. You know, if we actually wanted our hospitals to be well fitted, they wouldn't have to travel to South Africa, to Dubai, and all those places. Our doctors are very capable, very, very capable.
Yeah, the same doctors who travel abroad to go and there are more Ghanaian doctors in America than there are in this country,
and they all have some form of expertise. You know, and all we need is to motivate those who have sacrificed to stay here. And instead, you go to the hospital, you cannot even get basic things. You know, basic things. Medication. These days, you go to the pharmacy, and medicines are even not around. And we are not thinking of that.
Even the furniture.
Yes. Can you imagine?
The furniture in these health centers.
You should see the beds. The beds. They are all rusted. If that bed scratches you, you get tetanus in hospital.
The roofs are leaking.
Everywhere it's terrible in our hospitals, just because they can go out. Just because they can go out, they are not bothered. I think that's about time we took a second look at this whole idea of parliamentarians and other high
special privileges.
Yes, having those special privileges, because as Ghanaians we are all special.
They are becoming too entitled.
That privilege. How many Ghanaians? What we see are people coming up and asking for donations. You know. And people are always out there looking for funding to go out and do something for themselves. And yet, when it is just a parliamentarian, the person has gone with our money. No wonder they'll come and sit and want a hospital just for themselves. They'll soon ask for a spa. Because they'll soon ask for spas. For us to give us a massage parlor in the parliament, they should say that too. We'll add it. Massage parlor, spa, makeup kit, everything we'll give them because that is what they want.
Well,
you know, this last statement, there's this picture trending in my region. A gentleman, I'm not going to mention his name, was in a massage chair.
Yes, somebody bought a massage chair and they said that it was, I'm trying to get his name, Ransford, eh?
Ransford.
And I'm not mentioning names because it's out there in the public domain. And I'm asking, who brought that massage chair into that office? They wanted it an MPP person. And if I come to an office and there's a massage chair, won't I use it? I will comfortably sit in it. It's because of this comfort. All the beds in the offices and whatnot. Who brought them? Who brought those beds in offices?
The arguments that it generated, the debate that it generated this morning.
It's because it's Ransford.
It was too hot. It was too hot.
It's Ransford Jampo, that's why.
It was too hot, and I'm just thinking, you know, Afenyo, I think let's give Afenyo some work to do. Maybe now that he's opposition minority leader, he's getting bored. We should send him out to go and do an audit of health facilities.
I'm surprised by the things he says.
I said he doesn't have anything to say. He's overwhelmed by what is happening. He doesn't have anything to say. So when he says, he just said, let me throw in something, a red herring, so that people talk about it and it'll be relevant. That's what he's doing.
Right, I'll do some more messages. This one here says that, good morning. We are not giving them an additional hen coop already. The number of parliamentarians must be reduced to 30. Their numbers are not having any impact on ordinary Ghanaians. The minority leader couldn't even advocate for medication to his constituents for managing cholera, but talking about new chamber. We, the NDC, wouldn't allow such things under our government. They are known for their reckless spending. NDC would rather prioritize. I think your panel have just put the final nail on the coffin. Thank you, Suglo, for your message. And Baseman Adam says, please ignore Apenyo and his political the second word you added, I can't say it. We have better things to think and talk about. Abdul Kadri Karim Haruna says, Assalamu alaikum, guys. Good morning. David Lee says, the next thing you ask is their own personal airport. This is BS. David Lee says, Madam well said about the judiciary. Okay. Kumen Sapila too says, this NDC budget is another budget. Let's vote for MPP back for a better Ghana. Hey, we are only 3 months.
That's what we should do. What?
We should go and vote. We should vote back there. We are only 3 months into the this one. No, into the
They can't They can't stand the heat.
I think Markin was a special hospital for parliamentarians alone. They should rather employ doctors and nurses and give them a space in the chamber to attend to them, rather than building a hospital for them. They now want to separate themselves from the people who voted them to parliament. Okay, this one here says that, good morning, Pan-African TV. My name is Nasiri Basani from Babala, Mamprugu district in the northeast region. We, the good people of Babala do not have a single midwife to attend to our beautiful women. I'm appealing to the government to get us a midwife and also upgrade it to a standard health facility. You may contact the district health director for confirmation. Wow, interesting. And you know,
talking about
a single midwife. Well, good morning, Bless. I'm enjoying your show. Luke Dorina from Tamale. Thank you, Luke. Good morning to the people of Tamale. Many thanks for always holding the fort. Good morning to you and your panelists. In fact, anytime I listen to these intelligent women speak, it motivates me and gives me hope that Ghana will surely work again under the leadership of John Dramani Mahama. I'm surprised to hear such frivolous comments from the minority leader. What does he take Ghanaians for? We still have communities without water, schools and health centers. Please, I need Madam Gisela Tete's number. Siri Idris Savlugu, social media communications for NDC. Okay, thank you so much for your message. This one here also says that, good morning, Bless. I'm enjoying the show. Thank you very much. A very good morning to you, Pan-African TV, and your wonderful panelists. I'm watching and listening live from NKC. Markin talks as if he's out of his box. What kind of MP is he? So he thinks MPs are superhuman beings or what? Bless. Make a journey on the Wenchi Wa route. You weep for the good people of Upper West region, and you have minority leader who wants a hospital and a new chamber for MPs. If he thinks without a hospital and a new chamber he can't be an MP, he should resign. No one forced him to become an MP. Okay, thank you for your message. Bless. As for agenda 111, it was for votes. Cathedral and hospital, which one will you prioritize? Stephen from Kwabinga. Okay, thank you. Very good morning to you, Pan-African TV. Does America have hospitals for their parliamentarians? Is Appenyo Markin serious? Is their position permanent? He is very selfish. Susie sends this one. Thank you, Susie, for your message. Hi, Bless. It's sad to hear from Appenyo proposing a special hospital for the political class in Parliament after collapsing La Hospital and neglecting Legon Medical Center and military hospitals built by Mahama to rot for 8 years under the MPP. Appenyo and his likes must not see themselves as not human than the rest of us who are dying in our ill-equipped hospitals, which have become more or less graveyards for the ordinary citizens. Ken Williams, thank you for your message. I'm writing to express my disappointment with the minority leader's proposal for a separate hospital for MPs. Given Ghana's economic challenges, I believe this is a misplaced priority. Our leaders should focus on improving existing healthcare facilities for all citizens rather than creating exclusive services for themselves. Why didn't he include this myopic reasoning in the Agenda 111 project? A time is ultimately coming, and here is it, that the citizens will chase some of these politicians out of town. One day, monkey go bush, see banana, and will never return home. Chu from Japan. I'll read this last one. Peki Government Hospital needs an emergency trauma department urgently, with 1 or 2 vehicular accidents weekly. Bless. President Mahama should ban overseas medical treatment for government officials and rather improve the conditions in our public hospitals. Kujo from Peki in the Volta region. I'm tempted to read Efu Fafe's message before we proceed. Appenyo is so selfish, so he couldn't suggest that to his previous government, but rather to JM's government. You see how wicked this guy can be? Well, interesting. Oh, I'm surprised that most of the newspapers haven't captured the story of Otumfuo asking that about the free SHS. Yeah, about the rich paying for it, and then
I believe that the free.
But people have been asking, why now? Why didn't he say that?
I guess you see, maybe he thought that things would improve. It depends on what briefings they were giving him. You understand? And then he has sat down now and he's realized that really the thing is a tough one. So he's not come out to speak his mind. It's something that even the finance minister then had spoken.
Yeah.
You understand? And I think that majority of well-meaning Ghanaians know that this is actually the true situation. But because of politicking, so we have found ourselves in this thing. But I've always believed that students or pupils who are in government schools, public schools, should be the ones that should enjoy the free boarding education.
Well, that's why I'm also...
if you have money to take your child to an international school, it means that you can pay for
of
your
course.
child.
I don't understand why this government, Gabby, I don't understand why you want to take it upon yourself to extend the free SHS to private schools. I don't think,
I felt that the public schools should be the recipients of it.
Yeah.
Because they are the poor ones.
Yeah.
Everybody who goes to a public school, you know that the child is there because the person can't afford anything else.
Yeah.
But in saying this, I will not also take out the fact that there are some mushroom schools that call themselves international schools. So you might find people in the lower belt also sending their children. Those that go every day, when you're going, they give you two cities or 5 cities for. But those ones we can recognize because you can always have an open window for them through scholarships. You can have half scholarship, quarter scholarship, or a full scholarship, depending on the incomes of your parents or whatever, or your guardians. I don't know if I'm making sense. You see, you have a mason, because the mason feels that government schools are not doing well. That mason will send a child to a mushrooming wooden private school. They call themselves to international schools. You understand? But every morning the person is going and is giving 2 cedis for feeding and those kinds of. They are not so well established like the other schools, international schools. So with those kinds of people, you give them a window for the person to say that I'm a mason, I cannot afford it, but I would want my child to go to a boarding school, and you can say pay half or pay whatever, or if it's a full scholarship. We can always do that. I think we can always do that. But as for those who go to public schools, what we call Saito, it must be automatic if they pass to be able to go to boarding schools.
Well, yeah. Why do I think that Gabriela Tete agrees but wouldn't want to?
No, the challenge with free SHS has more to do with funding and the dedicated funding for it. So the priority of His Excellency and Honorable Atto-Forson
to look for that
is to find the funding. And I've written it in another notebook, not this particular one, because I have so many of these tiny notebooks. But the last COMS meeting we attended, they mentioned that they had found a line of funding to support free SHS, including the free tertiary for students with disability, full 4-year scholarship, and the no stress free first year fees. So that had been resolved in this year's budget.
From the GET fund.
Yes, and the capping GET fund, so that GET fund will concentrate on the infrastructure and the tables and chairs and all those stuff that are needed in the educational sector. So that had been resolved. But I was quiet because I know I'm not carrying that notebook, and I know the last part of where the funding is coming from is in the notebook.
It's in the notebook.
So that's why I'm quiet.
But bless, I think that the community day schools will also help.
It should help.
In fact, for the next tranche of students going, majority should go into community day schools.
I feel
so
that
we have some reserve numbers.
Yes, I feel that for the free SHS also. I mean, we're making a point about the community day schools.
Yeah.
If you're going to school, you should be also looking at proximity. If the school is, if you are, for instance, you are here in Abilimpi, you attend Accra Girls. Accra Girls is not too far away.
There must be a bus.
Yes.
And these buses must be there.
Yeah.
There must be a bus to take them to and fro from school. You understand? And you see, once you have a community day school, it opens up. You find the food vendors, you find other activities, come. So it's actually another form of creating jobs for people.
The boarding schools, it's a burden on infrastructure.
So I just think that boarding schools, first and foremost, it's just cumbersome for everybody. It's burdensome. It's creating a whole lot of problems. All the schools are stretched. They are overstretched. You should see how they are. They lump them up in the dormitories, and when it comes to bath times, it's just too much. So I think that we are not saying that people shouldn't go to
boarding
schools, but the numbers are just too many. And I don't see anywhere in the world. I want to know if somebody knows somewhere in the world where there is free secondary education boarding. The one I read of was, I think, Japan, and it's for people with very high IQ. So they are kept in a special school, boarding, fed and everything, just for them to be able to make sure that they get the right training as leaders of society. But for us, a third world country, where people can actually look after their children somehow, those that need help, let's help them. But you just can't put it all in one basket and say everybody should go for free. It's not. I don't know how long we are going to be able to do this. I don't think it's sustainable, honestly. I don't. Because the more you say that, and you say we don't even have any checks and balances. Now we are having our neighbors. Some of our neighbors are coming in. Nigerians are taking advantage of it. Togolese are taking advantage of it. You know what I mean? But everybody's taking advantage of it. Because once you come and you go into a school, a primary school, the next thing when you go to secondary school is free.
Yeah.
We can't be doing that.
That's true.
We can't. We need to do something. We need to really sit and talk about this. But I think the way forward is the community day schools. We should build more community day schools.
I agree.
More of them.
I agree.
And provide them with accommodation.
The e-blocks, there are lots of them that are uncompleted.
They should
from
complete
2016.
them.
We should try their best possible.
And the only thing is to attach canteens, good canteens, so that they can have their meals and whatnots. And if possible, you can have a shed. I don't know how the e-blocks are made, but you can have a shed for those who would want to sit and even do their homework and stuff like that. Sometimes you need to be able to talk to another person to help you out and stuff. So if it's in a community and you go to school and you have to join the bus to go back home, you may not be staying close to somebody who can help you. So you can have just sheds where people can just sit and do their homework. If they need help, they'll get their friends to help them, and that's it. We just have to be innovative.
Right. Government launches Blue Water Guard Initiative, 2,000 youth to protect water bodies. And so I think I've read it, and then I know the difference between the 2,000 and then the 400. So as it stands now, 400 people are currently under training, they're undergoing training. But one of our viewers expressed, shared a view which I very much agree with. Why do we have to go train? I mean, look at these people on the front page. Gabi, look at these people on the front pages. If military men are not able to fight these people, what would these trainees go and do on the water bodies fighting galamseyers? Why is this necessary? I mean, we've had a lot of we've resorted to some measures in the past to fight galamsey, Operation Vanguard, and then whatever that we saw somewhere last year, and all amounting to naught. But what kind of training are they receiving that is so special that is different from our military might, that it can put an end to this canker? Gabi.
Okay, so let's put some things into context.
Okay.
You are assuming that because we are training these guards, their job is to go fight galamseyers, right?
That's an assumption, but it's not true.
But
to protect water bodies.
And that is their role.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That's it.
Now, they are coming from communities that are mining areas, first of all, that have water bodies passing through. And we need people who are going to be the eyes and mouth and ears of the government in the fight against galamsey. So their role is to, as the first point, they are the scouts who are going to inform that there's some mining operation going on here and it is causing damage to this side of, let's say, Pra. So that alert goes to their command center. The information is shared to the actual security, the military, and the security forces, the coalition of security forces in the galamsey fight, who can then narrow it down and give accurate, fast information that this is the areas where we are going to.
I see.
So that's it.
It's simple.
But how relevant is their job anyway? I mean, how relevant is this job? These people are going to be paid ostensibly. What is so special about this part of their job that Gabi, why are you laughing? What is so special about this part of their job to relay information or whatever? It appears don't we already have information on where these galamsey activities take place? Why are we just... Oh, sorry. Sorry. Why are we dilly-dallying around this issue? We know that these are the spots, these are the hotspots, these are the places that these things are happening. We already know them. It appears that we are just dancing around the issue.
We are not dancing around the issue. We're actually trying to be more... what's the word?
Proactive.
More proactive in the fight against galamsey. Look, I was trying to open a page before I twisted myself and my ribs.
Sorry.
I was trying to open. So far, since the NDC administration took over, you know that there are a lot of regional coordinating security operations going on across the entire country to fight this galamsey. Arrests are going on, the seizures of equipment, and day in, day out, you hear reports of 15 illegal miners arrested at Avelebu and Akango, located within the Evaluate Ejumojira district. 5th March 2025 in Upper West region. 73 illegal miners at Tilly Forest, spanning the Boko West and Nandam districts, arrested. On March 11th, rapid response and district monitoring teams in Enchi Forest district arrest 12 illegal miners. March 13th, joint rapid response team from Takwa and Takrade Forest district storms to be Forest Reserve. All these informations are given out to the operatives by people. Okay, now in the chain of command, as we have created it in our fight against galamsey, we don't have enough men and women to go roaming the entire length and breadth of the country. So these young people, their job is to police the hey God. Sorry. Would that take over from me? I've twisted.
So they are going to be monitoring. They are going to be able to tell us about the health of the water bodies, so that once you have people spread across and they are monitoring the various areas of galamsey, what's going to happen is that the information flow will be very fast, thereby making the work easier for government to be able to police. It's like policing those areas. You get me? So that's the way I understood it. So they'll be there as the monitors. How are the river bodies doing? Any changes? Maybe some people are doing illegal galamsey downstream somewhere. The face of the water has changed. and stuff like that. It will also tell if there's any human activity going on, because some people might be in the forest areas deep inside there. It takes a while before you can, unless you are also going in there to scout, you might not see. But with these people going around all the time, it means that every day there'll be some form of reportage going on.
Exactly, and they can share the intensity of damage
so that will
is
help
going
with the
on.
galamsey, really.
So
it will. It's cheaper than having to go on a helicopter and be looking down.
And the drones
and the drones and all those things. So, but with this, they are not going to be fighting anybody. Theirs is just to make sure that they can identify the hotspots.
What's with this? What's with this allegation also that the fight against galamsey is not seeing the light of day, because following this, this new administration taking over the helms of affairs, it appears that it is NPP, people withdrawing from the forest, and now NDC people going back to go and mine. There's this allegation in the air that
it's perception. It's perception. When they make these allegations, as they point to Central Region and Upper Dinshire, it's because of an incident that occurred there. But even the reportage of that incident was wrong. Okay. There was this accusation that our constituency chairman is a galamseyer, and he was he stopped the government operational team from undertaking some investigations, which was not true. And he is not even a galamseyer. In fact, he's one of those ones. He's a proper miner, licensed miner. He's called Chairman Swansea. He's a licensed miner. And he's one of those ones who even encourages other people to go and regularize their documentation. The difference between what you call an illegal miner, galamseyer, and actual miner is the documentation. Okay? It is the documentation.
And the method, I guess.
Even
because galamsey is surface. They're not supposed to be using heavy machinery. But those with the license, some of them are using some form of machinery.
There is a
because galamsey is gather and sell. They're supposed to be surface, but they now go digging deep, which is causing a problem.
So far, I don't think that the fight against galamsey really has failed, because as I was mentioning to you, I've given you a litany of cases as have been reported by the media day in, day out. Almost every other day there's some arrest and confiscation going on in the country. These are not the argument that NDC people are now taking over these mining concessions is not true. When you go to a galamsey site, you can't tell who is NDC and who is NPP. But what we have actually discovered is that right now there are a lot. During the NPP regime, they gave a lot of licenses, and a lot of their operatives are operating in these mining areas. And since they lost power, many of them have rather gone back into the bush. People were holding licenses that they were not using. People had taken a concession that they were not using, and they've all now moved into the communities to do mining. So it's not. There's no evidence to suggest that it is NDC people who have taken over these mining concessions. Not at all. The one case that came to our attention in the Central Region, as I've told you, our constituency chairman is not a galamseyer. He's a proper certified miner who has been doing this job for almost 12, 13 years. I think yesterday they interviewed him on Metro TV on the same issue. So, bless. Let's not even push that argument that NDC people have now stormed concessions and mining areas and they are doing galamsey. The fight against galamsey is on, and I've given you evidence from all the reportage that has been reported since January, when His Excellency was sworn in, about the arrest and confiscation. And man, in the past they were burning the excavators. Now, as expensive as it is to move those equipment out of those places, government is bearing the cost, and they are moving those equipment, seizing those equipment back into to the security to the police stations where they are kept. Gone are the days people arrest the 500 or 600 excavators NPP arrested and brought to Adenta area. Have you seen those excavators? They were disappeared one after the other. Only God knows what happened to those excavators. Today, that whole place is just bare land now. Where did all the excavators go? They cleared everything back to the owners before they left power.
So you should even add them to the drip machines.
Which is not a bad idea.
Yeah, it should be.
Right, some more messages, then we call it a day. I have received quite a number of them actually, so let me run you through. Okay. The Graft Mensa says, forest guards are now aiding the chainsaw operators to destroy our forests. I don't trust such a setup. Nasir Mohammed says, good morning, Pan African TV. In UK, almost everyone goes to day schools near them. So the E-block concept was brilliant. In UK, you pay for your child to go to the boarding school as a matter of choice. Why is the MPP always saying something to provoke or invoke the wrath of Ghanaians upon themselves? I think they deliberately want to collapse the MPP for good. Continue with the good works, President Mahama. Your experience in the God of Ages have been your path. Okay. Okay, I think I've done this one already. Hey, some of you have very sharp tongue. I can't read this message, I'm sorry. Good morning, Bless. As usual, thank you for the program. Now everything free in secondary education is not practicable and ideal. I have a neighbor who lives just about 2 minutes walk to a senior high school. The woman insisted that since everything is free, her daughter must be in the boarding house. Also, I have a Nigerian friend who sent all her 4 daughters to school in Ghana. When I asked him why, he told me that after all in Ghana, everything is free. Tuition, feeding, accommodation, examination fee. Again, most of the beneficiaries of this everything free are from neighboring countries. I live near the border, so I know what I'm talking about. Why are we doing this to ourselves? Just for votes, Mr. Ahiale in Nakachi in the Volta region. Thank you, Mr. Ahiale, for your message. Good morning. Okay. Don't quickly doubt the result of what innovation you don't fully understand. I mean, your comment about the water body guards. Bless Kofi Felix. Okay, Kofi Felix, I've heard you. I'm hopeful. I'm hoping that it pans out well. Of course, we all want the eradication of illegal mining or galamsey. Reviewing the free SHS is in the right direction. My headache among the plethora of problems associated with the free senior high school is the free for all aspect of the program, where every learner should be promoted to the next level, no matter his or her academic performance. Delali from Cape Coast. My regards to Gabriela. Okay, thank you. Bless, good morning to you and your panelists. Please, Cuba is a third world country and yet they're able to offer free boarding secondary education. Myself and one of your panelists witnessed it, Pablo from Upper West. Okay, good morning, Bless. My name is Elda Kwesi Wusi from Central Region based in Tema. Kindly tell my niece Gabriela that they shouldn't allow minority to distract their attention. NDC should be focused and deliver what they promised Ghanaians. Okay, I need a number. Okay, Kingsley Bentel sent this one. Good morning, Pan African TV. My name is Kofi from Nungwa. I love your show. Okay, thank you so much, Kofi, for your message. Otufo should channel his advice to the next MPP administration. Okay. All right, okay, all right. Bless, I think we even talking about Pengu is more fulfilling to him than the real reason he has. We should have ignored the whole conversation so he feels irrelevant. Kwame from Hope, thank you, Kwame, for your message. Good morning, Bless. This one is coming from Stephen Peng. Apengu Markin has become a toxic waste in the Parliament of Ghana. He isn't useful to us anymore, and even his party. They are wondering what to do with him. Stephen Peng, thank you for your message. Good morning, Bless. Fighting corruption with the regime of unanimous FC will be very difficult unless there is some cleaning up over there. Mohammed, thank you, Mohammed, for your message. Good morning, Bless. Apengu Markin is now regretting the departure of Honorable Alan Chemanting from the NPP. The GTP proposed a new chamber to replace the unnecessary Council of State. I think Mr. Markin should join Honorable Alan Chemanting. Thomas from Ablekuma. Okay, thank you, Thomas, for your message. I'll do some last two, then we'll call it a day. Good morning. This is a message that is coming from Nigeria. It says Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a very terrible president. Cost of living is killing the Nigerian people. Cost of living is killing the living in Nigeria. I'm telling you, it's not easy. I think the market is not serious. What kind of suggestion is that? Was it not a majority leader? Why didn't he suggest it for his reckless NPP government? He should shut up and mind his own business as minority leader by Osajifo in Sine East District. All right, thank you so much. We have been able to, discuss all our topics. It doesn't really happen, but when we start the show early, so our viewers. Well, no, but when we start the show early, today we started at exactly 8 a.m. And it's also because Gabriela came early today. Our viewers want to see more of that. Thank you so much, Gabi. Thank you so much, Auntie Oda. And to our viewers for your time. I'll see you tomorrow. Do have a pleasant day. Bye-bye.